it's got to that point in the pandemic where I'm having to start thinking about how I'm going to do my teaching. So I've got a few months to prepare, but my teaching will be starting in January, which means I'm going to have to prepare a lot more kind of online video type material for students to look at. So I've been testing this lens to see if it's any good for kind of like talking over a topic in a particular location. It's the 28mm equivalent, so 14mm on the micro four thirds. It's pretty good, but I'm just not sure how well the autofocus tracks, to be honest with you. I think the Panasonic seems to be able to put its box on my face and the little cross on my eye, but is it in focus? That is the question. It's also quite heavy, so I have to keep changing hands. The mic that I've got on here isn't the best either, so the audio quality is probably not amazing. The levels look pretty low in the monitor there. I could maybe turn the sensitivity up. Let's maybe give that a try. So I've turned up the mic levels. Is that better? That looks a bit better actually. Maybe I could even go slightly more. This is a new, I haven't used this camera like this much. I normally just use it for stills when I'm travelling, but I was kind of hoping it might be quite good for doing this kind of stuff for teaching. But maybe it's not the best. I've got a bunch of other cameras and stuff that I could use, but they're a bit heavier and a bit clunkier to use. So maybe this is okay. I'm going to try the mic level up even more actually, just to see if it works better. So this is now +3 on the mic. Trying to see what it's doing on the levels. It looks better. One thing I've noticed is that I keep looking away from the lens. I need to make sure I don't do that. It's kind of annoying for the students. Maybe I should even, once I've set it up, is move the screen away so it's not distracting me. But this seems okay. I guess it doesn't matter too much if it goes in and out of focus a little bit. It's not the end of the world. But it would be good if it's mostly tracking my face like it says on the box. I'm just walking around near where I live. This is not a bad area because it's sheltered from the wind, so I could easily do talking over stuff in a slightly different environment. Obviously it depends on the module I'm doing as to whether or not the woods is a good background. I teach some cybersecurity, and I guess cybersecurity in the woods doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But for other things it might work. But when, you know, COVID time's kind of limited at where I can go, and just having me sat in my little back room talking over material is not going to be very interesting. So I'll have to see what I can do. If anything, this could do to be slightly wider, so maybe like a 12 or even a 10mm lens would just be a bit better, but I don't have one that's of any good quality, so this is maybe the best I've got for this camera anyway, and I don't want to use a massive heavy DSLR for carrying around. Also, I'm not sure if the focus would track any better with the DSLR. In fact, it's probably worse. I'm stuck. A bit hard to walk through there. I'll go this way. COVID presents a lot of challenges for people in terms of teaching. How do we make the stuff that we're doing more interesting during a pandemic where students are stuck in little rooms with not much else to do during the day? It's except going out and risking getting infected. So anything we can do to kind of make things a bit better, a bit more interesting, probably a good idea. Colours look quite good in here, so it's a little bit more diffused lighting. It's a shame I don't teach biology or trees, because that would make things a lot easier. Could just walk around talking about trees. But instead I have to talk about cybersecurity in the woods. I'm not sure the woods are great users of Wi-Fi technology. Could be wrong. Maybe they have their own wireless communication systems. Kind of rambling on, but it's because I want enough of a recording to then analyse and see which bits worked, where it worked, how bad the autofocus is. Should I just set it manually and open the aperture up so I'm in focus most of the time? Perhaps that's the way forward. Actually, having said that, I have no idea what aperture I set, so maybe I should have a look. So after a lot of faffing about, I realised I was in program mode, or professional as certain YouTubers call it, well, allegedly. So now I'm in aperture priority, so the aperture is 2.5, which is the widest this lens goes. So has that made anything better? Does it look better? Is it more in focus? Who knows? So I'll walk about a bit more. I might even put the mic level up a bit more as well, so yeah, more faffing. Let's do that. So this is the mic at +6. I'm talking kind of normally. I find that talking for a long time, lecturing actually, does wear your voice out a bit, so the more normal it can be, the better. So maybe this is optimal. Is this the perfect setting for doing this kind of recording? How's that autofocus doing? I can't actually see. Well, I shouldn't be looking at the screen anyway. I'm gonna have to try pretty hard not to keep looking at the monitor instead of the lens, which is where the students will be. Well, assuming that they actually watch anything that I make, which maybe they won't. So it's quite a dark day, but I've got it ISO 400, so hopefully that works okay. I should go to a different place and try it there as well, but this could be the best I can do with this camera. Maybe it's good enough. It doesn't have to be award-winning quality, it just needs to be enough to get the message across in an interesting, informative way. Now, maybe a bit closer in is actually okay, though they can see more of my face. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll try a new location, see how it goes. This is Bertie and Blossom. Realised I was in 4K, and pretty sure in 4K it crops the image in, and I don't think I've got the image crop visible in the preview screen, so I'm going to be highly cropped in the last video, which is going to be rubbish. So I've changed it to 1080p. Who needs 4K anyway? Certainly not for teaching. This is a new bit of wood. These are damson trees, which you might be able to see. Which are pretty cool. You can make damson jam. Or crumble. People like crumble, right? So anyway, maybe this is optimal. 4K, not optimal. But 1080p is. Yeah, so hopefully this is better. The problem with filming like this is you do feel like a complete tit. Mainly because you look like a complete tit. But I need to get more used to doing stuff in front of cameras if I'm going to actually produce anything worth watching in terms of teaching material. It's kind of stressful because I don't think I'm well trained to be a filmmaker of this kind. Quite good at pointing a camera at people, but not so good at being on the other end of it. And all the films that I've made in the past have been talking head style documentaries where I'm not the talking head. So this is quite a different and new experience for me. Look at that really neat piece of grass. I wonder whose that is. It's really weird. Why would you mow a piece of grass that well in the middle of nowhere? I guess maybe it's a house. Odd. Anyway, yeah, so the other reason for making these films is to kind of just get more used to doing it, really, and hoping that the more time you spend looking like a prat talking to a camera lens, the more normal it becomes and the better the teaching is. Of course, that might not work. So I think I've settled on a broadly, potentially optimal setup. And maybe if I don't move around too much, the autofocus works. So 1080p, 25 frames with the mic on full and avoid the crop. Does it work? I've also changed the white balance because I had it on sunny and it isn't sunny. So maybe I look a little bit more yellow now. That's good. Yellow is good. So how's this? Is this the best setup? Is this optimal? I guess I need different locations. The woods doesn't make sense for what I teach, so I need to think a bit about that. So it's much windier here. So this is quite a good test of my stereo mic, the name of which I've forgotten, which has a dead cat on it. Not an actual dead cat, obviously. A small fluffy windshield. So hopefully it's doing okay. Be a good test of a more kind of exposed, not in the woods environment. It's actually quite windy, so you can probably hear it a bit. So normally on this time on a Friday, I'd be thinking about going out to the pub, but in these times I live in a local lockdown area, so I can't mix with any other households inside, so no pub for me, which I blame wholeheartedly on Boris. Maybe a bit unfairly, but still I blame him anyway. This scene might give away near where I live, as the river is potentially quite recognisable. So yeah, maybe someone knows. This is a a darkness test, see how well it does in the dark. So I'm coming to the conclusion that most people don't care. They might think I look like an idiot, but that's about as far as it goes. I have developed a newfound respect for YouTubers that actually make this look good. That's something that I'm not managing to do. So yeah, I shall never criticize another YouTube video for its bad production value ever again. Oh, this hill is steep. So I made it to the top of the hill, although I did swallow a fly, and frankly we all know how that ends. So in the background you can see one of my favourite trees in this wood. It's huge and perched very close to the edge of a steep drop. So I think I've tested this camera enough now. Is the contrast detect autofocus as crap as everyone says? It's a Panasonic G85 by the way, with the 14mm lens, like I said, f2.5. It's probably good enough for what I need for teaching, but yeah, we'll see how this footage looks and how it's managed in all these different conditions. Yeah, there's the tree again, perched on the edge of oblivion, just like society.